Now at 11, as Massachusetts deals with a surge of migrants, a church in East Boston opened its doors to dozens of families with no place to stay. But their time at Our Savior's Lutheran Church is coming to an end soon. Our Jericho Train is joining us live right now from where the church is. And Jericho, you say that the church says that they simply cannot stay there any longer.
That is exactly what they're saying, Colton. If you remember, we first covered this story about 2 weeks ago when the church was housing 35 migrants. And back then it was a concern that this was not going to be a long-term solution. And now that concern has become a reality as the church says they can no longer house those migrants and all of the families need to be out by Tuesday. Pews piled with personal belongings. Church floors converted to sleeping quarters.
This church is only half the size of the people we're sponsoring.
Our Savior's Lutheran Church houses Haitian, Dominican, and Venezuelan families, totaling about 40 migrants. But with that number growing, the church says they can no longer support the influx of migrants walking through their doors.
It's just going to be miserable to let them go. I said to somebody that afternoon, I just love these people.
This as the majority of its Spanish and Creole-speaking leadership plans to leave the church in the coming months.
That leaves the third active person, me. No Spanish. None at all.
And the loss of support from local organizations like the Boston Immigrant Justice Accompaniment Network, which would limit medical and mental health support for families.
This is actually not central to their core mission. So they can't continue to do something like this. So they're going to pull back, which means we will receive quite a bit less support.
The church offered their services following the state's restrictive shelter regulations, limiting migrants and homeless families living in shelters to only stay for 5 days.
What's likely on Tuesday is they'll go back and end up around the Wollaston station.
And Tuesday is the day when we're told once again that those families will need to leave this church. In the meantime, however, the pastor says that there are about 30 Pentecostal churches here in East Boston. They're currently working on networking with them to try and figure out a plan to house about 3 to 4 families for each of those churches. Once again, still something that they're working on. In East Boston, Jericho Tran, NBC 10 Boston.